and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
The Dell Technologies Black Friday and July event starts now with limited quantity deals on top business PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Plus, get special financing with Dell Business Credit. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to business customers by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And welcome to your Tuesday morning Roundtable show with your hosts, Wayne Blair, myself, Rick Hall. We come to you every Tuesday morning here at the WGNS radio studios where it's hot and hazy today. Hot and hazy, isn't it? Not Wayne?
Yeah, I feel like, was it the Wicked Witch of the West on Wizard of Oz? I'm melting.
I know.
It's the heat and humidity is just appalling sometimes. So good to see you, my friend. Hope you had a good weekend.
I did, sir. It was a rainy one on Saturday, but I was glad to be back.
Got a little time on the water on Sunday, so that was good.
Working on your tan.
Well, yeah. It's not completed, but it's on its way. So before we introduce our honored guest, we talked about this earlier, but our condolences to the family and friends of Rear Admiral Jimmy Taylor, retired, and guess what? Task Force Commander, Blue Angels Commander. I think he flew with them as well. I think the 30 combat missions in, I guess, Vietnam. It's just an amazing career.
Sure was. I've read up a little bit. 4,500 hours flight time.
Yeah.
997 missions. Started in 1958.
Yeah.
So.
And native Rutherford Countyan, born and raised in the Rockville area, and been in the Smyrna community in Rotary with us for a number of years before health terminated that. But if I could tell a quick story, at Rotary, annually we would have the Interact or the high school clubs come in and have lunch with us. And I'm sitting at a table with Admiral Taylor and another Rotarian and several young people from the different high schools there on the northern end of the county. And I'm introducing the Rotarian and myself and Admiral Taylor to these high school students, and said, Admiral Taylor was the Navy liaison between, with the pilots and Top Gun, and they looked at me kind of perplexed. This was about 4 or 5 years ago, and one of them said, "What is Top Gun?" And I said, Tom Cruise, with the blue with Top Gun. And they said, "Who's Tom Cruise?" I'm going, I am so
you
old.
You dated yourself right then.
Yeah, but he was an amazing man and an amazing gentleman, and we're God bless him and his family, and we're going to miss him. He was.
And the Blues are, if you happen to see around Smyrna and in yesterday, the Blue Angels actually flew in and attended the funeral and did a flyover. So can't thank those guys enough. I know they're not listening this morning, but they're a pretty good bunch of guys.
Yep, quite the honor.
And girls.
Yeah, quite the honor. Rick, good friend with us this morning. Had him about I guess it's been maybe close to a year ago. But great friend. Has worn a number of hats. Former chairman of the school board member, former commissioner, chairman of Health Ed, assistant principal, coach, teacher, radio personality. Chairman Jeff Jordan, it's an honor to have you this morning.
He's speechless.
I don't know who he's talking about. I will. Thank you, Wayne. I'll tell you something. I heard something on this radio station this morning that I have never heard in my life. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna understand this when I tell you. We have the weather, which is the most accurate weather in the entire world, of course. Okay, and whoever did the weather said the temperatures today was blah 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 blah, but and I'm sure that'll be accurate, but sometime during the day it will be in the low hundreds. I've never heard that.
That's
and we've had hundreds here before. It's not all that unusual, but so now we're grading by the hundreds. So okay. You left out in my wonderful introduction and greatly exaggerated. You left out husband and father of 2, grandfather of 3, and great-grandfather of 2. One of whom had a birthday this past week.
I think I remember us talking about
Skylar,
that.
and he turned 6 really last week, but we like to drag it out as long as possible. We'll probably celebrate into next month. And he is very enthusiastic about his birthday. He's had a great time. We really did have a good time.
Well, it's cool to have a birthday month.
Yeah, that's right.
Why waste a day when you could have a month?
Well, I've got a daughter that does that, and then the other one just has a day, and I have a day, which sometimes it's not ignored, but sometimes we get through it pretty quick.
Does that mean you're being taken for granted just a smidge?
Well, I'm being silly, but I do have a daughter who years ago decided February was okay, and that she would just stretch it out the entire month. She would tell you that this was her birthday month, and we'd better pay attention.
Well, with my birthday being 3 days before Christmas, I tried to talk my parents into maybe celebrating mine in June or something, but with 5 brothers and sisters, and so total of 8 in the family, they wasn't having it.
The birthday seemed like all the time,
bud.
and it just so happens in my family, November was the month. My mother, my father, and myself, and my oldest daughter, all in November. So it seemed like we get going to one celebration and we'd have another, but that's okay. That's all right.
Gets expensive as well.
Well, not for me. I don't buy anything for anybody. No, I'm afraid I do.
You've had a storied career as a county community leader, and like I said, you've worn a number of hats, and maybe remind our audience about growing up in the Rockville area.
Well, I really, looking back on it, of course I didn't know at the time, but looking back on it, I really caught a break. I really did. I was born in Nashville. I got here, I'm not really sure when, but 2 or 3 years old, and lived a couple of places in Murfreesboro. Ended up on Bell Street, and right across from Hale Avenue, and a block or so from the old hospital, and a block the other way was MTSU, and we went to campus school. And at that time, unlike so many things are different today, but you had really 3 ways to get into campus school, and mine was easy. But one, you could be I don't know exactly how to put this, but a son or daughter of a very well-known citizen in Murfreesboro. Okay, they were okay, and then you had to be MTSU connected in some way. You could be, and the other way. This sounds crazy today, but it's the truth. If you could walk to school, you could get in if they had a spot for you, and I could walk. It was a block and a half, so I ended up there 4 years. Okay, and then we moved to the Salem area, and I went to Rockville, and I met an entirely different I don't know what the right word is, but now I'm with farmers pretty much.
Right.
Okay. And
Country folk, if
yeah.
you will.
And boy, was
The
that
Waynes of the world.
the Waynes of the world. That's exactly right. And on both occasions, both schools, I ended up as a member of a really good class. People that were smart. Well, that really wasn't where I belonged, but I had to compete. So, and that really helped me, and it really did. And I was in Rockville until 8th grade, and then as a freshman, my father decided that I needed to take a couple of courses, mainly Latin, which Rockville did not offer. And so he took me to Central High School, where I was reunited with these same people, along with a lot of other people. And so I got a full thing. But I'll just tell you, absolutely, Rockville was just a terrific place. It really was.
Yes.
The school itself, the leadership, the teachers, and I played basketball, all that kind of stuff. It was just and the country life, the fishing, the hunting, all that stuff that I'd never done before in my life. It was a terrific place to grow up.
Did y'all have acreage?
No. My father was not a farmer. He was the only job he ever held. He was art and display director, manager, whatever you want to call it, at Goldstein's department store here on the square, just a block from where we're sitting right now, in the old building where they register to vote.
That's right.
Yeah, and so but I could work for farmers, and which I did. And the guy that owned the property where we lived was a farmer. Matter of fact, he was a former sheriff, and Earl McKnight, and a great guy. It really was. And so I did a lot. I'm pretty good at the hauling hay thing. I'm smart enough to know to get as far away from tobacco farming as you could possibly get. Don't have anything to do with tobacco.
I have horses, and I'll be hauling hay this weekend, so I don't know if you're available or not to show your stuff. You can do it.
I want more money than I'm getting here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, my goodness. Back then, I don't know how you do it. I think it's kind of changed a little bit. But back then, it was all baled. Everything was baled.
Same today. I mean, they've gotten some automation with accumulators where it'll grab up so many bales, and then you can buy it. But the guy I get it from still does it the same way he did when he was a teenager, and he's in his 70s. It's hard back breaking.
Oh, it is.
Lifting off the grass. And
so no round bales then?
No, I still put it up in the barn like we. Now my hay elevator's down. I've been listening to our swapping shop. I'm trying to find a hay elevator that I can get it up in my loft. I can't throw it like I used to. But,
this is not. We were talking about this before the show today about young people and who we're. I mean, we're not. There's no reason to be particularly critical. It's just things are just different. We got haul hay, back-breaking work, and the day started as soon as the dude got off the hay.
Yeah.
So we're talking 8 o'clock, and the day was whatever the man said the day was, $3.
Yeah.
That was it. And we had a guy move into our neighborhood, about a mile from the house. He was paying $4 a day. And of course, we're only talking about 10, 12 days in the summer. I mean, we're not talking about, every day, right? And we were lined up at his barn to sign up for that extra dollar, Okay, they wouldn't work 15 minutes for that today.
They paid a nickel.
They wouldn't even show up.
They paid a nickel a bale, and we wanted to make. And I learned why he did it, so we'd have an accurate count of how many bales we put up.
Really?
So he had he had a thing on his baler that kept the count, but he'd want to see what the count was off his baler, and then when we put it up. But we made sure we had a good count because we got paid a nickel for every bale.
Did you ever do the ones where the bale never hit the ground? It just came right off the baler right onto the hay wagon?
Yes, sir.
And I did that a few times, not often. But now you had to put a hook in it, pull it off, stack it. You better get back quick because there's another one coming.
Yeah, they got a big square type device now, and then puts them on the ground. It winds them up. It puts 21 bales in a bundle, and then you pick it up and set it on the trailer.
I think I got cheated.
We did.
Former commissioners, Commissioner Joe Gurley's dad had the Gurley farm out there, Morton, Rocky Fork, and I would go bail for them. And it really didn't go as much for the money as I did for the lunch, because Miss Gurley would set a kind of like, sawhorses and plywood, and we'd all gather around the table, and it'd be mashed potatoes, green beans, just
a meal,
sweet
a real
tea.
meal.
I mean, a real meal, to the point that you gorged yourself, and you're going, how am I going to work the rest of the day after what I ate?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's back-breaking work. Nasty, snake every now and then under a bale.
Right. That always came as a surprise. You'd go just long enough where you'd forget it, and then you'd pick up a bale, and there he was.
We did a lot of ours at night to the dew fair. So we were out there a lot of times after dark because it was the coolest time. So
yeah.
Makes sense.
yeah.
I don't know that I ever did that with a tractor with lights and stuff. I don't think I ever did that. We usually got it up in time.
Talk about some of your classmates from maybe Rockvale or campus school, that like yourself have gone on into community leadership.
Well, you mentioned a guy this morning, Commander Taylor. His sister-in-law, who was a Turner, Susan Turner, who is Royce's wife, was in the class at campus school, and has always been an outstanding citizen to this day. And we had a number of, back then, the Murfreesboro City Schools had basketball and football, and I don't think they do have fifth grade, don't they? I believe basketball now. I think fourth and fifth grade, which is fairly new. Charlie Jordan, Ben Jordan was in my class. His older brother Charlie, the second Jordan, was the first MVP not the first, an MVP in the state tournament in men's basketball, and he was at campus school. We did have a lot of outstanding people, and if I start naming them, I'll be in trouble. I'll leave somebody out. Yeah. But
okay.
Just a lot of really good people. And frankly, Wayne, I'm not really avoiding your question. I hope you don't take it that way.
No.
But there were so many great people at both places that have come on and been, leading citizens, really, and important citizens in their communities, that it's hard to name all of them, unfortunately. I'm 112 years old, so a number of these people are.
I was going to ask if you opened campus school, because I think it opened in 1921 when you mentioned that, but I wasn't sure.
No, I wasn't quite that old.
I'm kidding.
But fortunately, you did arrive after Noah.
Right. Well, the principal at campus school was a guy by the name of Hillary Parker, who years later was my philosophy teacher at MTSU. I kept running into him all the time. And then at Riverdale, of course, Carl Buckner was the principal at Riverdale, but at Rockvale, Eris Reed was the principal. And he later became assistant principal at Riverdale High School when they closed Rockville High School. Right. So, it's you meet some great people along the way, don't you? You really do.
Amen. Sure do.
Amen.
You're listening to ex-commissioner, ex-school board chairman,
retiree,
Jeff Jordan with us this morning. We're going to take our first break. We'll be right back with you in just a minute.
Imagine life without the debilitating pain of knee osteoarthritis. Do you have pain when walking, discomfort when going up or down stairs, getting out of bed in the morning? If so, you're not alone. The good news is there's a true breakthrough in treating disabling knee pain that may help you gain your life back again. Dr. Zach Dittmartson of Aspiring Health Clinic in Murfreesboro offers cutting-edge treatment and technology that helps pain sufferers avoid knee replacement and stay active in their senior years. This breakthrough treatment is non-surgical and drug-free. Knee osteoarthritis will not go away on its own and will get progressively worse. Don't wait until you need assistance to get around. Call now for your consultation and examination. Call 629-231-8309. That's 629-231-8309. Aspiring Health Clinic in Murfreesboro. 629-231-8309.
We're visiting with Jennifer Sanchez, manager of Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift at 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're not just walking into just a big warehouse. You're walking into rooms. We've got a media room. We've got a boutique room. We've got a vintage room, a furniture area, kitchen, all that.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift.
Every day you go in there, I promise you it's changing.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift, 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Online at steeredstraightthriftstore.org.
Murfreesboro Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
She wrote this letter and gave it to my dad to have the minister to read at the funeral. It was very healing for the kids, even for the grandkids.
Let the Murfreesboro Funeral Home help your family when experiencing loss of a loved one.
It's a good idea. Start thinking ahead of time, even if you're in your 20s or 30s, because you never know.
Murfreesboro Funeral Home off of South Church Street on Innsbrook Boulevard. Visit murfreesborofuneralhome.com.
It's Good Neighbor Events, brought to you by Cardinal Realty Solutions, the law offices of John Day, and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. That helps our local economy. Plus, it's also important to listen local. There's a free grief support group every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. 10 o'clock every Wednesday morning. Plus, there's a Parkinson support group at 10 o'clock in the morning on the first and third Friday of each month, also at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. For information about the Parkinson support group or the grief support group, phone 615-848-2550. We told you the General Assembly temporarily eliminated sales tax on gun safes. That savings goes away August 31st, and that'll be here before you know it. Don't forget, Main Street Murfreesboro's Taste of Rutherford is this Saturday night at Oakland's Mansion. Enjoy the finest selections from this area's finest restaurants. The tickets are only $50, and it benefits Main Street Murfreesboro. It's 6 until 9 Saturday night. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good Neighbor weather.
For this afternoon, look for partly sunny skies. Do pick up a chance for some showers and storms developing with highs in the lower 90s, heat indices in the lower 100s. I'm meteorologist Michael Caro, News Radio WGNS. Currently 78.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the second segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host Rick Hall and myself, Wayne Blair. Come to you every Tuesday with relevant and sometimes amusing guest. And this morning our guest is both relevant and amusing.
Neither.
And of course, we have a focus on the northern end of the county, and of course, we were talking about Rockvale, but of course, you were a teacher, administrator, coach, and of course as a commissioner and as a school board member. You looked after the entire county community. So, but talk about maybe we were at Thurman Francis together. You as a faculty member, me as a snot-nosed kid, and of course you coached. You were in administration at Laverne High School. Maybe talk about your experience in the northern end of the county.
Well, I tell you, I got out of MTSU, and I forget now. It's been a while, but it was like Thursday, maybe graduation, something like that in the summer. So it was in August, and during that week or so, I had to have a job. I had to have a job. It wasn't a matter of whatever. I had to have one, and I was scouting around trying to get one, and I did. I got one at in Warren County, and okay, so now I've got a job which I'm supposed to report for the following week. But just on a whim, I went up to Thurman Francis, and Mr. Clifton Tucker was the principal at Thurman Francis, and I'd known him for a long time, and his wife taught me at Rockvale, wonderful teacher, and he was our basketball coach, and he said, well, listen, I've hired everybody that I'm going to hire, and he said, come back and see me in the middle of the year or next year, and maybe might be able to do something. So okay, so I go on back home and I graduate, and I'm ready to go to Warren County. I think it was Liberty, maybe, or I can't remember the school now offhand. But anyway, it wasn't Warren County High School. In fact, it was a McMinnville Central High School and Warren County High. There was two of them. But anyway, he calls me and he said, "I've got a lot more students than I thought I was going to have." He said, "A whole lot more." And he said, "I need a social studies teacher. Are you certified?" And I said, "Yeah, I most certainly am." And he said, "Well, you get the paperwork to me." He said, "But okay, you can go to work." And it was like Monday morning. It was like 4 or 5 days later, So I don't remember what the question was, but I had a question for him or something, and I called him, and I don't even remember who answered the phone, but they said, "Oh, he's gone to Florida on vacation." I thought, well, I hope he didn't lie to me because I'm about to resign from Warren County Schools without ever serving a day, which I did, and then started at Thurman Francis, which was a blessing. I tell you what, I've got an uncle who told me something many years ago. He is incredibly still with us. He's 101 years old.
Wow.
An engineer, by the way, Vanderbilt graduate. And he had traveled the country working for the government, and he said, Jeff, he said, there are great people wherever you go. He said, they're going to be a little bit different from the last people you talked to, but there's great, wonderful people. And I found that to be true at Thurman Francis, and I found it to be true at Laverne High School, which are two schools that I was honored to work in. Just great people, great teachers, wonderful students. Sure, we got problems. There's all kinds of problems with every job.
Yep, probably children chewing gum and talking out of turn.
Sometimes it can be a lot worse than that.
The farmers' kids are the worst, right?
And I hope I don't know if there's how many people are listening to this, but this is really I think a very fair statement. Most of the news that you get with schools are about problems, or problem students, and that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 or 4% of the students that are actually in the building.
Sure.
Almost all of them are trying to do what they're supposed to do. Is it difficult? Yeah. Hard? Yeah. All that stuff. But they're well mannered. They do a pretty good job.
Well, the squeaky wheel always gets the grease.
Oh, very true.
You're going to hear about that, like you said, that 1 or 3% that are out here squealing the most to get the grease, but it's the rest of everybody else that's really doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Thurman France was so special in that being a brand spanking new structure. It had air conditioning throughout the building.
I thought I was in heaven.
I did too. That was my only experience with air conditioning until I got to MTSU, and the new classroom building there in the middle of the Grove was air conditioned.
Yeah.
But Old Main and some of the other ones, the Memorial Gym, were not.
Depends on where you were at Central High School. If you faced the sun in the afternoons, you had a problem. It was just going to be. But heck, we learned to deal with it. That's just what you do.
We had Don Odom, ex-schools director, many jobs. He said, unfortunately, he did 50 years in education. He said he don't recommend that to everybody, but he did 50 years. But we had him on, and, it's really watching how much school cost right now is bothering me. And I'm thinking, well, why are we not just doing some regular, red steel type, how you'd build a shopping center? Why are we not pushing out some schools? Because it'll be a third of the cost, and we'd still be able to get the students in. And, he changed my mind because he was talking about how the brick and mortar and how long those schools last. And when you start thinking about Central High School, which is the Central Magnet School now, and Campus School, it's still up and running. And places like Thurman Francis, you go in a lot of these schools still today, and they're getting quite a bit of age on them, but they're still hanging in there, and they're going to be here for a long time. So it really changed my mind with talking to him last week, because I was kind of dead set. I was like, we really need to change and go this direction of building these things cheaper. But as we're sitting here talking about history and our past lives, and those schools are still standing, we can still walk through the door and see the memories and of what we have.
Central, I think, I believe, is 75 years old.
That sounds right.
49, and until today, it's roughly 75 years. And now it's been renovated, sure, and all those things that you would do to any building, your home or whatever. But hey, it's very, very functional. I mean, it's fine. And I agree with. We did make some mistakes in this county, and it's been some problems, I guess, of building something and then not taking care of it properly, maybe. But hey, that theory is long gone. I mean,
when we were on the commission, I think you and I served together from 2006 to 2010 when I was up there, and you were on health and ed then.
Right.
So he had a statistic, and I wished I'd brought it in. I would have showed it to you. But we renovated, remodeled, or built 13 schools in our 4 years.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, yeah.
We were by far, that was the years that the schools got the most attention. It got me voted out, of course, but
I don't think that
which was a good thing. So, but they say. But anyways, we touched 13 schools, and I just come out of that last week's show just a little bit happy. I was,
sure
that we were able to
proud
do that much for and it wasn't just on one end of the county; it was throughout everywhere.
Well, Harry Gill, former director, he would say, somewhat often, we're judged by the way we treat our children, and putting them in a safe, I'd say comfortable environment. I think that's awfully important to be conducive for a good learning experience, along with a full stomach, which breakfast and lunch provided by the schools do.
Well, these problems that cause what we were just talking about are never ending. I mean, it's not going to stop because you and Bob Bullen said that many times on the commission. He said the problems will still be here. Doesn't make any difference if you're. He was talking to the commission.
Right.
He said it make any difference if you're here or not. Problems are still going to be here, and they're going to be the same. And I think I can back that up with this. We're adding on now very expensive and much needed additions to Riverdale, Oakland, and Smyrna. And there are going to be some more coming down the pike just a little bit later, but we can't get them all in the same year. And the entire county of high schools, now I hope people heard me say that, the entire high school community of Rutherford County, which is thousands of students, are going to be affected by rezoning. It's right here on top of us. It's going to happen. Now, does that mean your child is going to have to go from blank school to blank school? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But it just means they're going to look at everybody.
Sure. And
try to get this balanced, to some extent. And I was talking to a school board member the other day, and I think you and I were talking, Wayne, about it. And as soon as you finish with that, and you're done, it's over. Everybody's in the school. It's almost immediately it's obsolete.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Because another 500 people move in,
right?
And they all go to Smyrna. Well, you can't do that,
right?
Now, obviously, they're all not going to go to Smyrna, but you understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
So within a year, you've got another problem of too many kids at one school and not enough at another, maybe, or whatever. It's a hard problem to solve, and I'm not sure that it's long term. If it's really solvable, I think you just said you have to do it all the time.
I don't think it is for our area. I mean,
no.
I've been talking to some builders lately. I'm obviously in insurance, and we are not slowing down. I know other parts of the country are, but we're not slowing down any. If anything, I think it's the busiest we've ever been right now. And I've talked to some builder friends of mine and some contractors I've wrote their insurance for them lately, and they haven't slowed down. And, I mean, into my road right now, I live off Florence Road behind Nissan, and there's 74 lots going up, and they cut the power off this morning to install all the new electric lines and the new telephone poles and whatnot. But they got a 10-year plan. I think we're already booked that we've got lots for the next 10 years in Rutherford County, and they don't see it stopping. But you're right, it's going to be a continuous problem with these kids because those 74 lots are going to bring in another couple hundred kids right there alone.
You don't know for sure. A lot of the housing today and whatnot that's built is for young families, mm-hmm. and that means children. Yep. It just does, and I do not have a current figure necessarily on educating a child, but it costs a lot more to educate a child a year than that family would ever pay in taxes.
Sure,
mm-hmm. And of course, and some of it has to come from the state. Some of it comes from property taxes and wheel tax, and just to get them educated, and it's a difficult problem. There's not enough money. I mean, it never is enough money.
In my 12 years on the school board, I would tell if I ran into somebody that was new to the community and that they had children in the system, you just have to be aware that there's a strong probability at some point in time all or some of your children will be rezoned just because of the growth. And just trying to make sure that there's seats for their little butts.
Right.
And I was in the Smyrna Laverne High School split. So the class 88, I was class 89. They opened the Laverne High and the new Smyrna High, and that was my senior class. And we thought it was the absolute end of the world that we were splitting us up and we were having to go to two schools. But
where'd you end up?
I ended up on Smyrna. Old Nashville Highway split. Okay. Basically, if you were on the west side of Smyrna, you went to Laverne. And if you were on the east side of Old Nashville Highway, you went to. And there was people that drove from out Old Nashville Highway towards Murfreesboro that would pass.
Yep.
Nissan Boulevard where Smyrna High was to drive into Laverne to go to Laverne High School, and that was an absolute meltdown for parents. And
sure,
we didn't have social media obviously back then, so I can't imagine what it would have been like with it. But we all survived, and we do our class reunions now. We combine them, and
well, that's neat.
we do them together, and cool. I joke on the radio that the class 89 Smyrna High was the best ever because our mayor of Smyrna is now, and we got 3 of our council members are all class of 89 on top of the mayor being there. But we lived through it, and it's a good thing probably.
Yes, sir.
I got being on the I guess I was on the commission at that time. But anyway, we went through this business of opening Rockvale and having to rezone it and find enough students. You can't open a new school and open up half full. You can't do that. Yeah. And not when other schools that you drive right by are overcrowded. You can't do that. So, and I dealt with some people, and most people were reasonable. It's worked out. But I did deal with a person or two that went to Blackman, which is fine. I like Blackman fine. But they were in the rezoning. They're going to Rockvale. And, well, you'd have thought they called me. You'd have thought Rockvale was in Lewisburg. I mean, it's 20 miles out there. I can't. My kid's not riding a bus. So it just so happened that the next week after that telephone call, I was at Rockvale at a ball game, and I thought, I know where these people live. By the way, that call me, nice people. I don't have a problem with them. And I'm gonna see how far it actually is. 6 miles. I mean, from the front door to their driveway, 6 miles. Well, they were already driving 5, 4, 5. But
get the other way.
Yeah, but okay, I understand, and you don't want to change schools. Maybe I get all that, I do, but my daughters changed when they were little kids, and really. At least for a while there, the only reason they went to Riverdale was because I taught there, so that they could go with me, and sure. that was legal, that was allowed. But a lot of people, I think there's a benefit to changing schools, maybe as much as they're a detriment. But I do get the friends thing. But Wayne, they're gonna make a lot of new friends.
Amen.
Exactly. Hey, you listen to Jeff Jordan with us, the Rick and Wayne Show on the Tuesday morning Roundtable. We're going to take our last break here. You'll get paid after this next.
Oh, right. Is there a check involved?
Exactly.
And who writes the check?
It bounces. But, we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
This is Lisa Halliburton with Bell Jewelers. We invite you to stop by and see all the new items that we have in for upcoming anniversaries, birthdays, graduations, even retirement gifts. We can personalize your gift with special engravings. This is Lisa Halliburton inviting you to come join our family at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots Restaurant.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and a decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help. This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center, across the street from the hospital and the Ascend Federal Credit Building.
Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host, Rick Hall and Wayne Blair. And it's been our pleasure and fun this morning to have former School Board Chairman and County Commissioner Jeff Jordan with us as we've talked about the past, and we've kind of yucked it up a little bit because we're all three great friends. As far as this final segment, do you have some thoughts as far as what you would like to see in the future for this county community? Of course, I'd love to see trailer classrooms go away, but I certainly could not help that happen in my 12 years on the board or my term on the county commission. I guess I hate to say that I guess they're always with us, but it just breaks my heart that we have children in trailers, in learning environments.
I want to mention one name before I respond to what you just said, and that is a guy that Will Shelton, who was assistant principal at Laverne High School, an outstanding teacher.
Yes, sir.
And it served and actually was, when he retired, he was principal at Blackman Middle School. An outstanding person, and without Will Shelton, I would have probably been hospitalized years ago. He was a great friend and a hard worker for Laverne High School when we served together. Now, you and I were talking about this, and we've talked about it before. You call them trailers, the temporary classrooms, portable classrooms, whatever you want to call them. And we absolutely, along with the county commission, I think to a certain extent, really put getting rid of them as a priority. I mean, we were every time we did anything, we were thinking about how we could get rid of the portable classrooms that were there.
Sure.
And we did that for a number of years in all our building and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of that time, when you and I left, which was about the same time, we had the same number of portable classrooms as when we started.
Yes, sir.
We just couldn't get rid of them. They just kept, and they are by themselves expensive, and they fall apart, and you got to move them, that's not good. And they have no water sources, and that's terrible. And it's just a problem. Every time we turned around, there was something that we might get rid of one on the campus of, say, Smyrna Elementary, but it ended up somewhere else, because they were overcrowded. And it was just a real problem. And it looks like you're right that they're going to be with us for a while now. This latest thing, according to Claire Maxwell, who's on the board, according to her, and I trust her judgment, she says that these portable classrooms, when they renovate and add on to Smyrna, Oakland, and Riverdale, she's hoping that they'll all be gone, from those campuses. And I don't know if she's right or not. She would know better than I. But that's something we have to work toward. But I tell you what, it's. And I look back over a number of years of visiting and going to places like John Coleman, Buchanan, and I always remember that at Buchanan, if a child was in a portable classroom and they only had 3, and which is 3 too many, but they had 3, and if a child, now just listen to this now, if a child wanted to go to the bathroom, which every 7-year-old seemingly has to do every 10 minutes. But I'm being serious, if they have to go to the bathroom, the teacher called the front office, and the front office sent somebody, secretary, who I'm sure was covered up with work, to go to the front door and watch that kid walk across the parking lot. Because you don't want them out there by themselves, of course.
Sure.
Right? Well, this goes on all day.
Yeah.
And that's just Well, we got rid of those. You know, we got rid of them now. I haven't been out there in a while. I don't know if they have any or not, but we did get rid of those finally. But that kind of stuff, it's just not a good education environment. It's really not.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that you expand, and you get students out of the trailers into the building, and then the growth, and they come right back.
Right.
They're like a boomerang. You just can't get rid of them.
My brother, my son-in-law, his brother has a child at Walter Hill. This is some time ago, and we were just talking about various things one night, and he told me that his son had never been inside the building at Walter Hill except for art and PE. Every other class until the 6th grade.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just, you just throw up your hands. You don't know what to do. You really, you know what you want to do, but
right.
You can't do anything about it. So we're going to have those kind of problems. I mean, that's just the way it is. But the real problem is, of course, the stream of money that the county can pull from, and to get done what it needs to get done, and it's just not enough.
Well, and I think something that Rick and I have tried to do, and not every week, of course, but try to make sure that our audience understands that the education of a child locally, all of it is not paid by the state.
Right.
About just a little over half is by the state. So I think was the $9,000 per student. Is that what we talked about last week with Mr.
Yes, sir.
Odom, I think? And so, if your property tax, let's just say it's $1,500, and you have 2 children in the system, or just one child, your property tax is $1,600, but the local portion of educating your child or children is somewhere probably between $4,500, between $4,000 and $5,000 a child. So, your property tax doesn't go just for education. It pays for all the other county services. Even if you're in a municipality, you still got to pay for the court system, the sheriff, the correctional building. I mean, ambulance. I mean, there's
EMS. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that property tax dollar has to pay for.
Don Odom, I know y'all had him on. He's been on more than once, has he not? I think.
No, actually, this is the first time.
Was the first time?
Yes, sir.
He had, and I forget the exact way that it worked, but it was possible to move into Rutherford County and be past the tax deadline, and you could go almost a year and a half before you had to pay any property tax.
Right.
Well, in the meantime, that kid's gone to school that year.
That's right.
And it's cost somebody $9,000. Now, I suspect that when I look in the mirror, I can see one of those guys that's putting up part of the $9,000. but I mean that shouldn't be. It's just it doesn't work very well.
No, growth does not pay for itself. Infrastructure just blossoms.
Well, I'm glad you said something a minute ago, and that is that this growth that we were talking about and that Rick was talking about earlier affects every single office, every single function that the county and the city government has to do. And sure, the big hunk of it is education. That's true. There's no getting around that. But hey, sheriff's department problems with personnel and salaries. I mean, it just branches out from there.
Well, I think we got redundancy. And if you remember when we were on the commission, it started getting thrown around on the front page of the paper there for a little while, going to metro form of government because of like Murfreesboro City Schools having that K through 6 that they're educating kids, and they're also paying the property taxes to educate the county kids in the city. so you hand them off. So you're sitting there with redundant services, law enforcement on top of each other. Each has their own individual fire departments that are,
Right.
overlapping. So we're putting stations on top of each other that may be servicing other areas that it'll never happen here. I think we're got way too big and of a area to be able to do it. But if you remember when we were on the commission, that really got thrown around there for a while.
Right, and I don't remember now the years. I've never gone back and really researched it, but that's been voted on time or two. Should we consolidate, whatever? And every time that's happened, I think it's twice, but I could be wrong. Could be more than that. But either one of the two groups votes against it, either the city or the county.
Oh yeah.
And not both of them maybe, but one or two. And this is not going to happen unless you have full public support.
Well, if you think though, with our growth and how many people we got in this county, who are we competing with now? Who's on that list? Nashville, metro. Memphis is a metro government. Knoxville, metro government. So we're up now with these larger cities that are all metro form, and we're still not.
I think we've passed Chattanooga, haven't we? And have we passed them in population or student population?
We passed them in student, but next census we ought to pass, or maybe the special census that's going around. Maybe we pass them
right now.
So,
but yeah, they are. That's right. Laverne is having special census.
Former commissioner, former chairman. This has been so much fun having you this morning.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. You all are doing a real public service here. You really are. I know you're making the big money. I know that. and you're not sharing it with anybody but Brian. I appreciate it, guys.
Best to your family again. God bless you.
Right back to y'all.
Yeah, we do. We enjoy it. If you're looking for something to do, I'm going to, real quick before we jump off here, I just want to give up the Smyrna Outdoor Activity Center is having a big boat float at Jefferson Springs this weekend. It's $15 an hour, but they're going to have a ton of kayaks and canoes and paddle boards down there. So if you're looking for something to do from 11 to 5 this weekend, go to the Jefferson Pike, Jefferson Springs boat ramp, and they'll be set up this weekend. But thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.